Which product will you never buy again? A Toyota. That's right. Any. Any Toyota. It could be a Toyota water bottle for all I care. I really like some of their cars too. Too bad. They will never get my money directly, and I'll avoid any indirect funding I can. Why? They screwed me over, big time. The first new car I ever bought was a Toyota, right off the showroom floor. Around the 80,000 mile mark, the mileage mark where my warranty ended, I broke down. The car stopped, no power, nothing. Imagine the EMP scene from a movie. The roadside assistance individual thought it might be a gas pump or something. I had no clue. I'm not a mechanical automotive person at all, and was less so at the time. It turns out there was a TSB, Technical Service Bulletin, to replace the ECM, the Electronic Control Module, aka the computer. It wasn't yet a full recall, but at the time it was close, and later it was a full recall. They replaced the computer as soon as I drove 10 minutes away from the service center. My check engine light came on. I took the car back. They informed me that my transmission is ruined and needs to be replaced. I was mad. Ruined? How? Why am I just finding out about an issue? What are you talking about? They offered a transmission flush for $400. They claimed this might solve the issue, but they also informed me a full replacement would be close to $4,000. I elected to take it to a transmission company my family has used for decades. I was informed that an interior component, a solenoid, was likely bad, and if replacing that didn't fix it, the whole transmission would need to be replaced. I was also informed that the simple solenoid replacement would be around $3,000 due to labor alone. The part was practically free in comparison. I asked if this was something that could have just happened. Given other various mechanical signs, the answer was a resounding no. When I asked why the check engine light and error code didn't display previously, it was pretty clear that the faulty ECM was at fault. So here I am, a few thousand miles outside of my warranty, with a problem that was unknown tens of thousands of miles ago due to a manufacturing defect. Toyota refused to fix it. I ended up speaking with people at the North American headquarters. I made it abundantly clear that I'd never buy another Toyota, and I haven't. A handful of hours of work in exchange for a loyal customer? Nope, they weren't interested, so neither am I. I even had my girlfriend get rid of her Toyota. Oof, so that is like next level resentment right there, getting people you love to hate on the same thing too. Imagine if it wasn't a Toyota and it was like McDonald's. Now that's what I'd call true love. Story 2. Cheap or used tires, a cheap mattress, and bottom shelf booze. For the booze, I mean that if I'm getting a drink at the bar, I don't mind spending an extra dollar or two for name brand drinks instead of watered down ones. Yes, I believe the hangover is worse with cheap spirits. Also, if you couldn't afford a ride home, you couldn't afford to go out drinking. Regarding tires, if you have an old beater, you shouldn't be spending $1,000 on tires. However, I've gotten screwed over a few times with used tires that seem like an excellent deal, only to be replaced after 10,000 miles. I put a pair of Toyo MTs on my old truck and they lasted me longer than the truck and still look new after 50,000 miles. Plus, I had one punctured and it was replaced for free because I spent an extra $20 for that service up front. I can't stand seeing new sports cars that someone spent good money on and won't spend more than $300 on tires. Also, gas barbecues, if you only grill a few times a year, go ahead and spend under $500 on one. Just don't be upset when you can't get parts and have to replace the whole thing within 5 years. If you are a barbecue enthusiast who loves grilling for friends and family like 5 times a week, spend $4,000 on Twin Eagles or Lynx. It'll be the last grill you ever buy and sear a steak that would make Ramsay's mouth water. Yes, a $150 Weber charcoal kettle is an amazing grill that will last forever, but cooking 5 times a week on charcoal and needing more cooking area with different temperatures gets old real quick. Plus, a big green egg will smoke any Weber. I've spent the last 7 years designing outdoor kitchens and selling grills while having a private barbecue chef on staff. I think I'm just a bit of a snob when it comes to my food. Also, dog food or cat food. I'm not sorry, but I believe that if you can't afford to feed your best friend something better than dollar store kibble and bits, you can't afford your animal. Yes, there are situations where you have to budget for the cheaper dry cereal crap, but no animal should be forced to eat that stuff every day of their lives. Story 3. Anything from Finish Line. A couple of years ago, I needed a new pair of shoes. Luckily, I had a Finish Line gift card. I'd never shopped there before, but I'd saved money with the gift card. So I walked in and bought a pair of shoes. The cashier asked if I would like coupons sent to me in the mail. I figured, sure, why not? So I wrote down my address and everything. I got my shoes and everything was cool. Fast forward to 7 months later, and I had a $60 charge on my bank account from something that resembled Sports Illustrated. So, being confused, I called Sports Illustrated and told them I was charged for subscribing, even though I could care less about sports. The man basically told me, "Sorry about that. I don't know how that could happen. The charges should be reversed within about 3 days." I figured, all right, good, this crap's finally over. Fast forward 2 weeks later, and I realized that the charge had not been reversed whatsoever. I decided that I was going to call back again after work and talk to them about it yet again. So, after work, I checked my bank account one last time to see if it was reversed. Nope, not only was it not reversed, but I had another charge that said something like Sports Illustrated Kids for another $60. So basically, after he told me the charges would be reversed after 3 days, they weren't after 2 weeks. And then they had the audacity to charge me yet again. This time I was fuming and called immediately. The tone in the lady's voice seemed like she had been dealing with this all day or something. She sighed and said, "Have you purchased anything from Finish Line recently?" And I had to think about it. Then it hit me that I did about 7 months ago. And I said, "Yeah, why?" And she said, "Because this has been a problem with everyone who purchased from Finish Line. I'll have the charges reversed. This time I really will." And after the phone call, I called the bank to tell them about the whole thing. Everything was refunded back to me in the end, but after dealing with all of that, I'm never buying from Finish Line again. Who do you think is just subscribing to Sports Illustrated unwillingly? I don't even care about sports. I just wanted to buy a simple pair of shoes and that's it. Well, if it happens once, I guess all right. If it happens twice, it's likely to happen again if you don't take drastic measures to stop it, no doubt. But for a guy who doesn't care about sports, why would you shop at Finish Line though? I mean, was it that great of a deal? Obviously not. With $120 of charges and all the stress you had to go through just to get that all cleared up. Story 4. A Lenovo laptop from India. I bought a Y500 from them and it was the worst experience ever. I know most people think the company is excellent, but their after sales service is simply awful. 2 days after delivery, I found out that the touchpad wouldn't work properly. After repeatedly emailing them asking for repair centers, a repair tech, or any number of other things, I was told that I had applied for a replacement too late since I had bypassed the 1 week replacement limit. I asked them again about repairing the laptop, and they sent over a technician who knew less than I did about laptops. He left the house, having ruined the screen and twisting the fan blade so that the laptop wouldn't start anymore. With infinite patience, I called the repair center and asked for a repair tech to fix the things the previous guy had done wrong. They made excuses for days and days, doing absolutely nothing. And if you think Comcast is bad, this was far, far worse. I was misquoted saying the issue has been fixed, and they closed the case number, telling me I would have to go through the entire process all over again. I was given a Lenovo official help center number, and this is when I learned that the guys I was speaking to were simply a small repair shop that Lenovo had contracted all their Bombay customers to. After waiting on the Lenovo helpline for 15 minutes, listening to crappy elevator music, I was told that the help center was inactive and that I should call up another number, the very same number that belonged to the repair shop. So I just lost it. The worst part is that in India, it's not possible to sue a company and expect a speedy resolution. All of this was happening a few weeks before my exams, and I had a comp-sci project due for submission. In the end, I had to give up this new, almost never used laptop to a repair shop that I actually trusted. Their service was far, far better than anything Lenovo had offered me so far, even if it was paid. I ended up using my old HP DV6000 for my exams. I managed to submit the project on time, but seriously, screw Lenovo. Story 5. Home warranty. I bought a house that had just been around for 10 years and still had all the original appliances. The appliances are covered, they said, but only if you buy a home warranty. Sure enough, it only lasted a year, but things might break in that time. It was only $500, better safe than sorry. It turns out stuff did break. The water heater had a problem and the fridge had a problem, neither of which was caught by the inspection. I went to the warranty people. It was $75 for someone to evaluate it. Cool, I thought. It's cheaper than buying new stuff. Then everything was denied. They gave me the most random reasons. I argued and I was told that that was what the inspectors said. I got the transcripts and guess what? All of their inspectors said this should be covered. The warranty company lied to me. I threw their lies in their faces and got back, well, it doesn't matter. It still isn't covered. One of the guys, the plumber I later had come back to help, said these companies never cover anything. The reason for denying the water heater, rust on the unit. He had told them the rust didn't cause a problem and was normal. To them, any potential problem is a reason for denial. Got a dent in the unit? Denied. Got a scratch? Denied. Here's the problem though. This was all in my first 30 days. Like any reasonable person, I thought I could just call up and cancel and get some, maybe, of my money back. You know what the woman told me on the phone? It is not legal to return a home warranty in the first year. We're not talking PMI or fire insurance or disasters or whatever. This was just a warranty on things like appliances and can apply to things like structure. I told the woman she worked for crooks and hung up. So if you're buying a house and they want 5 or 600 bucks to quote unquote insure your home for a year, do what my plumber said. Save your money to do the repairs yourself. I'm still mad about it, and it's been like 3 years. Story 6. Delta flight tickets, they were a-holes and kept telling me that I could get a refund, and then that I couldn't get a refund, and then that I could, over and over again. Finally, after a 3 to 4 hour call, they said that they could reschedule the flight at a cost, but it would cost $250 to do so. My tickets were approximately like $175 or so. I told them to keep the money and haven't given them more since. Gas station donut holes. One Black Friday, my wife, her friend, and I went to line up outside of Best Buy for a fun overnight palooza. We became friendly with the folks in line and such since we are hanging out for several hours. I went to the gas station to pick up, you guessed it, some donut holes and other stuff. So I get back and start passing out the donut holes to my wife and some folks nearby. My wife mentions that the donut holes tasted funny, but we were tired and hungry, so meh. It was dark out and I couldn't see much, but finally, I was under a light and saw into the bag at the bottom. I started screaming, "The donuts are green! They're green!" I slapped donuts out of people's hands. My wife, having already eaten a few, ran over to a grassy area to chuck them up. Walmart perishables. I've purchased too many dairy items from them that were blatantly expired, and I've seen too often in the return section carts filled with perishables that they were planning on restocking after they'd been out of refrigeration for hours. You can never win with Delta, or actually any airline for that matter. If any one of them offers a refund, know from the get-go that that is all up front, no doubt. Also, donut holes, TIL. Alright, never eat anything from a gas station in the dark. So now I know what products I'm crossing off of my shopping list. But speaking of buyer's remorse, have you subscribed to the channel yet? If you could, please do hit that like button as well. I promise you, it's worth it, you will not regret it, and it super helps me out and the rest of us who like listening to these stories. Story 7. I will never go with my current ISP again if I have an option. The amount of BS I've had to deal with is just insane. First, they bought our previous ISP. I called to cancel the phone line we got for free along with the free router. The new ISP tried to charge for it but said they'd of course remove it. I got a confirmation letter, then I got another one, and in the end, I received one letter every day for over 3 weeks confirming the exact same thing. It still showed up on my bill. I got charged for TV, it was included in my rent. I called them and they said, sure, we'll of course remove it. However, it showed up on the next bill. I called again and they claimed the bill was printed before my call. They suggested I pay less than what it says on the bill. The next month, it was still there. They made the same claim, saying it was printed before I called. I called the rep out on his BS. All he did was cough and ask if there was anything else I needed help with. I mildly lost my cool at this point, but I finally got rid of the extra charge on the next bill. This was all within the span of like 3 months. Never again, if I have the option. The previous ISP worked flawlessly for over a year. What infuriates me the most is that this is most likely their modus operandi, counting on people not reading too closely what they're getting charged for. Granted, they are reasonably priced at 100 megabits per second for an equivalent of like $15 a month, but based on their customer service and general inability to even do the simplest of tasks without several weeks of issues, I'll go with another one next time. Story 8. I recently made a jaunt down to my local branch of Tesco, thirsty from hours of back break and typing, in need of a suitable beverage to quench my thirst. As usual, the highly caffeinated beverages invited me to come partake in their extremeness. But what was this? A new flavor? I hadn't seen you before. The striking red against the subtle grays and blacks shone like a beacon. Buy me, it said. You'll never not be pro MLG again. So I grabbed a can, picked up a tube of sour cream and onion Pringles, and headed for the self-service tills, ready to do battle with the stern robot, swatting down her usual notions that I was attempting to place an unexpected item in her bagging area. A regular complaint, to be sure. I walked home, head held high, indulging in thoughts of gaming strategy. I placed myself at my desk and savored the moment of opening my newest discovery. As I made my presence known in the online world, I took my first sip with anticipation. I was greeted with a taste that I can only imagine could be replicated by soaking a particularly unpleasant substance in a bowl of pond water for a few good hours. I tried to tough it out, but soon found myself seeking relief with the aid of Pringles. The ordeal, however, was not over. I soon learned why the beverage was named Monster. It launched an unrelenting effect on my stomach, and before long, I was contemplating my poor decision. I learned an important lesson that day. The more hardcore a product is marketed as, the more likely it is to involve low quality contents. Story 9. Subway in Indianapolis, Indiana. It started with the owner's wife, who was clearly uninterested in being there, asking, "You want cheese on that?" Then she proceeded to repeat herself about 20 times, insisting, "You want cheese on that? Everybody likes cheese." It dawned on me that she was simply bored and messing with me, showing no real concern whether I returned or not. Time passed and I found myself back at the counter to place another order. To my surprise, there was already a sandwich prepared and waiting. Before I could say anything, an employee approached, glanced at the sandwich, rang it up, and said, "That'll be $4.70, please." I protested, "That isn't mine." "Well, whose is it?" the employee retorted. "How should I know? I don't work here," I exclaimed. Meanwhile, the staff seemed completely oblivious to the fact that there was a customer waiting and that someone was manning the register. Frustrated, I remarked, "It's like the Three Stooges are running the show." Finally, one of the individuals behind the counter noticed me and asked, "Did you call me stupid?" I reiterated my comparison to the Stooges. "Are you sure you didn't call me stupid?" He persisted. It was clear the guy was trying to pick a fight with me. Minutes later, I finally received my order, a breakfast sandwich. I eagerly sat down at work to eat, only to find it had gone bad. I vowed never to set foot in that Subway ever again. They're staffed by incompetent individuals. All right, so this one cracked me up, to not give an F so hard at your job that you repeatedly ask someone if they want cheese with that. She must have been so bored back there and got a few good kicks out of customers' reactions. Story 10. I bought our first family car a few months after getting married, a 5-year-old Dodge Magnum with 50K on the odometer. They kind of just threw the warranty in, and I didn't realize it until I was signing papers and got to the extended warranty page. When I asked what the hell this was, the salesman ended up getting me to go for it. It's only $1,200, pretty cheap peace of mind, right? Right, I'm a family man now, and I hate to have any pesky repairs get in my way. I never used it. I needed tie rods one time, but they were considered a wear item, so it was out of pocket. Instead of the extended warranty, do your research. Buy cars that don't have overcomplicated parts that break down or require expensive services. I don't buy anything with a timing belt anymore, only chains. Just do your maintenance the way your manual says, and consider using the severe schedule. Join a forum for your particular car. If the thingamajig shakes when you turn on the doohickey, you can bet someone else's thingamajig has shaken before, so look it up. Most of all, this is what you keep an emergency fund for. If you're maintaining your vehicle properly, things shouldn't break, but if they do, have some money tucked away for emergency repairs. Story 11. Canned air for cleaning keyboards, PC parts, etc. has a bitterant in it. The bitterant is a chemical added to deter sniffing. It gets all over everything. Let's say you use it to clean your keyboard. When you type, you get it on your hands. It then stays there no matter how many times you wash your hands and makes everything you touch taste horrible, which sucks if you plan on having a hamburger, a cookie, or a carrot stick, or a cheese stick, or any other finger foods. It's terrible. It's a nightmare, in fact. And the dumb thing is that junkies just don't care. They still use this stuff. So they're putting this in the canned air to protect people who are damaging themselves and acting as if it's some big community salvation effort when really, it completely misses the point of what canned air is for. So now I just use an air compressor, never that canned stuff. Screw everyone involved in the decision to add bitterant to the air to try to control the actions of a few idiots. Story 12. We had a buddy named Dave who once brought over some Klondike bars for a game night and left the remainder in the fridge. When he came back a week later, he was horrified and livid that his Klondike bars, which were left in the fridge of 3 bachelors, had been eaten without his permission. He made such a stink about it that the 3 guys living there, as a prank, filled the freezer to the brim with Klondike bars. We ate them, but the stock never depleted. Some jerk would keep the joke going by buying enough Klondike bars to fill the fridge back to full. And when you're young and a cheapskate, you'll eat a Klondike bar before going to find real food. Now don't get me wrong, ice cream and chocolate are great, but man, I could go my whole life without eating another Klondike bar, and that was already 15 years ago. No, 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 no. All right, so this one's a little bit of a lie, right? Because you can never have too many Klondike bars. I'd die a happy man always having my fridge packed to the brim with those, especially them Klondike Crunch ones. Now I want one. Story 13. An inkjet printer. I've probably bought more than a dozen of them over the years, and while they produce outstanding color out of the box, unless you're printing full color on a regular basis, like every day, then you're going to get clogs and failures. And don't even get me started on the whole you're out of yellow ink, so you can't scan anything now with the all in ones. About 2 years ago, I bought a Brother laser printer for my mother. A few months later, I bought the same printer for myself. No more clogged ink, duplex printing that doesn't saturate the paper, consistent print quality, a wider variety of paper to choose from, and overall just being cheaper than an inkjet. I'm never going back. You gotta love those impulse buys, right? Especially when they turn out not so bad and pretty alright. But hey, before you click away, there's more over on what brand would you never buy again? Story 2 had me convinced. I'll see you there, and thank you for watching this one.